To open up our argument, we, the Pugad Lawin side, strongly believe that the first cry of rebellion happened in Pugad Lawin and not in Balintawak. As it was said, the cry of Pugad Lawin was an event that officially marked the start of the Philippines Revolution against Spain. The revolt grew in strength and spread to 8 provinces, including Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Pampanga, Tarlac, Laguna, Nueva Ecija, which were eventually represented by the 8 rays of the sun in the present Filipino flag. Originally, the term cry referred to the first clash between the Katipuneros and the Civil Guard or Guardia Civil. The cry could also refer to the tearing up of community tax certificates, or also known as cedulas personale, in defiance of their allegiance to Spain. The inscription of Viva la Independencia Filipina can also be referred as term for the cry. This was literally accompanied by patriotic shouts. Because of competing accounts and ambiguity of the place where this event took place, the exact date and place of the cry is in contention. From 1908 until 1963, the official stance was the cry occurred on August 26 in Balintawak. In 1963, the Philippines government declared a shift to August 23 in Pugalawin, Quezon City.
Thank you for that. I respect your ideas and your dedication to defend your side, but we, the Balintawak side, have also the right to claim that the first cry of rebellion happened in Balintawak. As what we research along with this side, we find out that the cry of Pugad Lawin alternately and originally referred to us as the cry of Balintawak. We all know that this cry was the start of the revolution of Filipino people. Though there are a lot of several accounts about this first cry of rebellion, including the works of Pio Valenzuela and Guillermo Magsankay. It is surprising that there are different versions on the dates of the first cry for the revolution as well as the venue. I stand firm for what it is believed that the so-called cry took place in Balintawak, but others would say that it really happened in Pugadlawin. The cry of Pugadlawin is cannot be accepted as historically accurate, which is true. Knowing the fact that how can Dr. Pio Valenzuela can be a witness alone? If we really wanted to know the exact location and date of a historical event, it is needed to show a complete documentation together with supporting evidences. Balintawak is well-known reference point for a larger area. The cry of Pugadlawin was lack of evidences, so it cannot be accepted as historically acquired. The above facts rendered unacceptable the official standard. The turning point of the revolution was the appearing of cedulas in the cry of Pugadlawin was on August 23rd in 1896. So, how can you prove it?
We respect your side about this kind of matter, but it doesn't mean that if Pugad Lawin originally referred to the cry of Balintawak, it means it really happened first in Balintawak, but in 1936, Pio Valenzuela, along with Biseo Pantas and Enrique Pacheco said, the first cry of the revolution did not happen in Balintawak, where the monument is, but in a place called Pugad Lawin. In 1940, a research team of a forerunner of the National Historical Institute or NHI, which included Valenzuela, identified the location as a part of Sitio Gulud, Banlat, Caloocan City. In 1964, the National Historical Institute described this location as the House of Tandang Sora. The first cry of revolution was not happen in Balintawak, where it taking place, but in a locality which is known as Pugad Lawin.
As what we said earlier, there are various accounts about this first cry. Maybe we can't directly say that this historic event happened in Balintawak, but we do have our support evidence which the version of De Jesus and Olegario Diaz of this cry. It was stated to Diaz account which closely related to De Jesus account. There was a big meeting or discussion among the Supreme Council of the Kikiki which happened in August 25, 1896 and took place at the Barrio Balintanak or we called Balintawak.
but it was changed to Pugad Lawin on August 23 through the assurance of former President Diosdado Macapagal of Proclamation number 49 series of 1963. According to Ocampo, there are 5 different dates are the Pugad Lawin, Balintawak, Kangkong, Bahay Turo, and Tamu, and 5 different dates 20, 23, 24, 25 or 26 of August 1896.
1970, the historian Pedro Agagalaña pointed out the controversy among historians continues to the present day. The cry of Pugad Lawin, August 23, 1896 cannot be accepted as historically accurate. It lacks positive documentation and supporting evidence from the witness. The testimony of only one eyewitness, Dr. Pio Valenzuela, is not enough to authenticate and verify a controversial issue in history.
Here are some reasons why Pugad Lawin is not considered as the place of the cry. People of Balintawak initiated a revolution against the Spaniards. That is why it is not appropriate to call it cry of Pugad Lawin. The place Pugad Lawin only existed in 1935 after the rebellion happened in 1896. Lastly, the term Pugad Lawin was only made up because of the hawk's nest at the top of all tree at the backyard of Tandang Sora in Banlat, Gulod, Caloocan, where it is said to be one of the hiding place of the revolutionary group led by Andres Bonifacio.
The cry of Pugad Lawin raised by the Katipunero against the Spanish reign in the Philippines in 1896 showcased not just the bravery and the courage of Filipino people, but also their freedom-loving trait and nature. Bonifacio changed the Katipunan Code because the Spanish authority had already deciphered it. Bonifacio asked his men whether they were prepared to fight to the better end, despite the objection of his brother-in-law, Chodora Plata, as assembled agreed to the fight to the last. The men tore up their cedula shouting, "Long live Philippines!" This event marked the so-called cry of Balintawak, which actually happened in Pugad Lawin.
The cry of Pugad Lawin was a cry for freedom. Its historic significance to us consists of the realization that the Filipino people had finally realized the lasting value of freedom and independence and the need to fight in order to prove themselves worthy to be called a truly people.
We greatly stand the cry happened in Balintawak and not in any other places with the help of supporting accounts from different credible sources in any other places. First, the Guillermo Magsangkay account, who was a prayer of Andres Bonifacio, Lieutenant Olegario Diaz, an officer of Spanish Guardia Civil, Teodoro Calao with his book The Revolution of Philippines in 1925, also with Gregorio Zaid with his book in 1954.
Speaking of support evidence, Pio Valenzuela had also a support person, which are Brixio Pantas and Enrique Pacheco, who was there and can be considered as a witness that the first cry happened in Pugad Lawin. Indeed, Pio Valenzuela was being associated with Andres Bonifacio for a long period of time. Pio Valenzuela was being discriminated for his account because some think he is lacked in capability through changing different statement. But then, with the Pugad Lawin side, still stand and believe that the first cry happened in Pugad Lawin.
We all know that Guillermo Magsangkay was also a close companion of Andres Bonifacio since they were a childhood friend, and also original members of the Katipunan and the General at the said group. He was direct witness of the historic event and was with him at the start until the end of the uprising. Since Guillermo's account was detailed and credible account of all, we, also the Balintawak side, strongly stand and believe that the cry happened in Balintawak. Now let the listener believe on what opponent they are, either in cry of Pugad Lawin of Pio Valenzuela or the cry of Balintawak of Guillermo Magsangkay. Daghang salamat.